want you to get to know a little bit more about your teacher. So here it goes, 10 facts about me. In this video, it's going to be entirely in English. It's going to be totally in English, and of course, you can turn on the subtitles whenever you need to help, to guide you. And so today's a very interesting video because I want you to practice your listening. If you have a base in English and you've been studying English for months or years and you can understand a little bit, that's awesome. It means that you can practice your English as I go. But if you're totally basic and you have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you're totally basic and you have literally no idea what I'm talking about, well, this video is for you too. I want you to be able to get used to the language. So this video is a really laid back conversation. I want you to feel like you're actually having a chat or you're having a conversation with a really close friend of yours. And I want you to be able to connect with the language more, until our first class, until the beginning of our journey. This is a very important moment that I want you to keep contact with the language, even if you don't, even if you can't comprehend, even if you can't understand English. This video is also for you. I want you to get used, I want your brain to get used to the soundings, to the natural English, to the English you're gonna hear on the streets, the English that you're gonna listen when you are in a conference, in a meeting, in a chat with people, in a conversation with people from across the globe. The main topic, the main thing, I'm going to tell you 10 facts, 10 facts about your teacher, about me. And with this video, I hope you can, at least for a little bit, relate with me, and hopefully we have some things in common, and hopefully you learn some interesting things as we go. Don't forget, of course, to leave your comment as well, okay? I want to know at the end of the video, I want to know at least one fact about you, about your process, about your story, about your hobbies, things that you like, qualities that you have. I want to get to know you as well. I hope at the end of this video you can be like, wow, I actually know a little bit more about my teacher. I know a little bit more about the person that is going to be teaching me the knowledge that I need. And I hope at the end of this video you get a little bit more confident in this journey to be able to speak, just like me, freely and confidently in another language, in a second language, and of course in English, our second language in this course, right? So okay, let's dive into it. Okay, so the first thing about me is that I actually love rock and metal music. It's literally one of my passions, and along with this passion, I also love singing. So this is a very cool thing, and hopefully in the next videos, in the next classes, you're going to be able to learn with me through music, with music. I have a bunch of special ideas for class with music, classes with good music, So yeah, literally my favorite style is rock and metal music and metal songs. Honestly, I do listen to a lot of other types, like Spanish songs and other type of songs, but my favorite of all time is rock and metal. And it's like, it can be like more of a sweet song, more of like a calm song, but it can really also be like a heavy core metal song, and I love them. I love it. It's really good. And feel free to leave in the comments, what is your favorite type of music? I'm really interested in knowing your facts too. And well, related to that, my second fact about your teacher is that I actually, one of the main reasons and my major motivations to learn English was songs, was music, because when I first started learning a language, which was English, English is my second language, I wanted to understand, I wanted to be able to translate my favorite songs and to translate the interview. So this was a very special thing to me, that I wanted to be able to connect with the artist, with the vocalist, with the members of the bands, the groups. I wanted to be part of it. And I wanted to go to a concert and understand everything about it. So yeah, and one thing that I really did and that helped me a lot was to write the interviews. And one thing I did, you know, that maybe it can be really important tip for you, that can be like a really life changer tip for you, is that I used to have like a notebook, and I used to have like a notebook, because this is a notebook, okay, this is called a notebook, so I used to have a notebook and write things down and write the interviews down. So for each interview, for each video, I usually would write the song, and I would write the translation and how I could pronounce, and I would I would highlight, you know, the important parts. I would do all of that, and that was very important to me. That's a very inspirational phrase of my life. That every time I remember, it brings me a lot of joy to remember that I actually wrote things down in a paper, in a piece of paper, you know. Important tip for you as well. So you can write the lyrics, you can write the interviews as a way to practice. And in the upcoming classes, in future classes, I will teach you, I will guide you on the steps on how to do this. So if it's a great idea for you, hold on, because we're gonna have a special video, a special class for you on this. So the third fact, which leads me, I feel like all these facts are just, the first facts are just all connected to one another, that I went to some concerts. One of them was in Rock in Rio. I went on the Metal Day, which was the day that I was able to see one of my favorite bands, one of them being Bullet for My Valentine, and other bands like Iron Maiden. When I was there, of course, there were a lot of other moments when I were like, wow, I understand and I speak English, but in that moment, it was very special because we were connected to one of my passions, like rock and roll music, and being in a real live concert and being able to listen, to be in it, you know, and of course, the most incredible thing, to be able to understand the songs, to understand what they were talking about, and to sing along, of course, because I knew all of the songs, and even the new tunes, tracks, like I knew all of it, or mostly all of it, you know. And so it was a very, very special moment in my journey, and all of that became possible because I was fluent in English, because of the languages, because of my passion, and because of my learning process. So this is a very nice thing. Maybe for you, it's not going for a concert show, maybe it's not going to a concert, but maybe it's another thing. Maybe it's like going for a meeting, or maybe for a congress, and be able to understand it all. With my example, with my story, I want you to know that it's possible, that you can be in the exactly same place, maybe next year, going to a concert, going to maybe a thing, an event that it's a dream for you, that it's your passion, and thanks to your process thanks to Fluente no Mundo classes, and thanks to our classes, thanks to our journey that we starting this year, and achieve your dreams and your goals. So the fact number 4 is that, of course, I love learning languages, and not only English, but Spanish, which is my 3rd language, Korean and Italian and French, and I have a really passion for learning any language. It really excites me to learn a new word, to learn a new different phrase, and it's a blast to be able to develop my time and to develop a hobby, because all of this started with a hobby. Learning languages for me was a hobby, and it became everything. It became not only my hobby, but my career, my achievements, my goal, my purpose, and all of that. And so I couldn't tell you facts about me without telling you that learning languages is a huge process in my life. And of course, you might know that your teacher's goal in the future, in a really close future, it's becoming a hyper polyglot. Well, this is a very huge thing, and I'm sharing with you. I hope you can share your goals and dreams with me as well. So we can just like work together to achieve our dreams. Of course, this is a huge goal that I see myself having this in future years, in future months. But for me, it's a very special thing that I've been working, that I've been having contact, that I've been putting the work, putting the effort for 7-8 years. It's going to complete 10 years now that I have contact with learning languages. So my process started a long time ago. So before leaving the 4th fact, I want to tell you another tip, of course, because I couldn't do this video talking about me without leaving you without real tips and real insights. So a very nice thing that I want you to know that is part of our methodology is that every time, write this down, it's a very important one. Every time I start learning a different language, this is I feel like I'm just really giving you my secret. And I'm giving my secret away, okay? This is a very important thing during my process, and I feel like you gotta pay attention to this, okay? Every time I begin my process in a new language, I never ever start learning grammar. Never. The first step for learning a language is getting used to the sounds, to the pronunciations. The first step is learning the first expressions, the first daily questions, expressions. That is the most secret of all, because if you start learning a language and you go directly to grammar and you start like, oh, let's say you're learning English. Maybe if you studied before, you were like, okay, let me learn verb to be. Oh, let me just learn how to create phrases. No, you never do this, because let me tell you that this is one of the reasons why the methods doesn't work. That's why usually most people don't learn English. That's the most unofficial way to learn a language. The first step to learning is to immerse to the culture, to the language, So when you're learning a language, your main goal is to learn the daily expressions, learn how to say good morning, how to say good evening, what's the difference between good night and good evening. This is how you do. You learn how to embrace in the language, You listen to podcasts, you watch TV shows. Oh, but I don't understand English. how I'm gonna be able to watch a movie if I don't understand it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The thing is, your brain is getting to a really different space, to a really different environment, and it has to build a connection before, you know? And that's the reason why most of people don't get the chance to involve in a language, to grow in a language. And that's the reason why I can have contact with a lot of languages and I can grow in all of them, and I really get a lot of insights and I get a lot of vocabulary from the language that I involve, because I know this principle, I know this fundamental about learning a language. And well, I'm gonna have more classes on that too, but today it's a day for facts. So just let you know, I'm just letting you know, I'm just revealing you one of my important tips, so you know that when you're learning a language, what's most important is the experience, you know, what you're watching, what you're seeing. These are the things that matter the most when you're learning a language. And little by little, you're going to be involving in growing, for example. And sometimes it's not even important to learn at the beginning how to write correctly or how to spell words. That's not really the priority. The priority is for you to listen and to practice your speaking, you know? So you're listening, the natives, and you're trying to emulate that. You're trying to speak that out loud. You're doing a repetition. You're doing, a lot of people call that shadowing, that when you listen and when you repeat after. So it's like I'm saying good morning, and then you go ahead and say good morning. That's one way. My fact number 5, the next fact about your teacher is that I'm actually neurodivergent. What does that mean? Well, that means that I have an atypical brain, an atypical operation type of brain. That means I have a type of brain that is considered different from the others. Type of different brains. One of most known that a lot of people know is autism, for example. It's like a disorder. Usually people who have that different functionality, that different brain, it really impacts on their learning process, and that's why this topic is very important to me, because I don't have a disorder, so giftedness, it's not considered a disorder, but it comes a lot of different traits and different approaches to life, and so it's not really just flowers and rainbow. There's a lot of things that you have to deal with, because it means you are different, you think differently, and people don't recognize that in you. So before you figure it out, before you figure you out, you just have a lot of questions, you just have a lot of crises, you just don't know what happens, you just don't know what's happening with you. And so that's why explains a lot my abilities and skills for things. That is also a bad thing. That also comes with a lot of difficulties that usually typical minds, typical brains won't face it. So I'm telling you this because I know that a lot of you that are watching right now, you might have, maybe you could have a typical brain too, maybe you could be different too, and maybe you could have a disorder, maybe you could have a, you know, kind of a barrier, you could have something different as well, and maybe that's what's causing you to feel stuck, especially in the learning process. And so that is a very important fact, that I got to know myself through a lot of knowledge, a lot of reading, a lot of explorations, a lot of exploring the subject, exploring knowledge, and I know that it's possible to overcome those difficulties, to overcome those barriers. And that's why I'm telling you this, because if you feel like you're different as well, even if you don't have an atypical brain, if you're not considered, if you're not actually a neurodivergent, I want you to feel that you are in a safe environment. You are in a place that someone understands you, someone understands that maybe even don't have a typical mind, maybe you're gonna take years to learn. Maybe there are a lot of people that are going to learn English super fast, but maybe that's not your case, and that's fine, and that's totally normal, totally okay. If you take more time, if you have a difficult challenge to overcome, it does not mean you cannot learn. It doesn't mean you cannot grow and evolve and become a better human and learn more and become someone influential. That doesn't mean that. It means that you have to understand who you are and calculate a better route, and calculate a better path, a better way for you to go. And that's why this channel, and that's why this is your school. And that's why I always tell that Fluente Mundo, it's not only English classes, but it's more than that. It's just this human process that we all go through. I've been through those different ways, those different paths. I know that I can help you along the way. I know that we can grow together. Through the classes, we are going to learn together how to unwind that, how to let go of those mindsets, of those wrong mindsets, of those wrong concepts, and create and embrace new concepts. And of course, learn and become fluent and influence together. So the next fact about me, it's very connected to, is that I am a multi-potentialite person. What does that mean again, Amanda? You're just telling a lot of different words and different definitions. Well, being a multi-potentialite, it means that you have a lot of interest for different areas, for various areas. A good example for that is that maybe you can like sports, but you would like to become a lawyer too, and then you're just like, oh, I love sports, but I could become a lawyer too because I like that field. But at the same time, I love singing. You know, there's a lot of areas that you could follow, but sometimes you just can't decide. If you feel like that, maybe you could be a multi-potentialite too. So we are going to talk more about that in the classes as well. This is a term that psychology explains, a person that really likes to explore a lot. A group of people, they are not seen as responsible persons. They are seen as, oh, you just have your mind in the clouds. You're just tripping, you know? Because you think a lot of different areas, different fields that you would pursue, and like going for one thing only doesn't make sense. And I'm a very good example of that. I love so many other areas. I love a bunch of other areas, and I have interest, generally interest for a bunch of other topics. And I'm always interested in learning anything really. If you're just like, oh, do you want to learn how can you, I don't know, how can you fix a car? I'm like, I'm up for it. I'm down for it. I'm like, let's go. You know, it always excites me. And so that doesn't mean it's a bad thing also, as I said about my difference. So if you feel like you're different, if you feel like you have some interests that are not really connected to a lot of different areas, and you can't choose, it's okay. You can follow a path. Maybe you can integrate all of them in a career path. We need people that specialize in an area, like one who were born with a really strong desire to be a doctor, and they're gonna be a doctor a really good doctor for the rest of their lives. Only a doctor. That's cool. They're gonna pursue the medicine career only, and that's fine. We need those doctors, we need those people. But it's fine too if you decide like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I wanna follow different paths for my life. I want different careers, I wanna be a journalist, but I also want to dance. That's fine, you can do both. As soon as you understand your power. Being a multi-potentialite, for me, it's like having a power. It's like having a superpower. And if you know how to use it, if you accept those differences in yourself, that can really you can embrace your potential and you can be happy with it. Before we continue, I know that you are enjoying this video, these facts about your teacher, so don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our official channel. I'm just gonna wait here. Okay, you ready? Can we continue? Right, let's continue then. Another fact about me, very fun fact, I like it. I am left-handed. I am left-handed. That's right. Can't tell you for sure, but probably 90% of people are right-handed, right? Right-handed, which is this hand, right? And so I am part of the 10% that are left-handed. So that's how I learned to write. That's my natural rhythm. That's how I write it. But I also think that we can develop writing with the other hand. I have a story from someone really close to me. He was supposed to be left-handed, but his mom didn't want that to happen. So she said, you're gonna be right-handed. So every time he would go to pick a thing, let's say he would just like grab this mug, his mother would say, no, not with the left hand, you're gonna go with the other hand. So he would have, if he wanted to drink the water or take the things, he would go with the right hand. Because people have this thing that usually having, being left-handed, it's difficult for people because it's different again. Let me know in the comments if you are left-handed or if you are right-handed. I am left-handed and I like it, and sometimes when I want to, do a good stimulation for my brain, I try to use my other hand, my right hand. And that's another good tip if you want to stimulate your mind, if you want to create good connections between the two sides of your brain, if you want to keep healthy, try to do things with both hands. If you write with your right hand, try writing with the other hand because that helps a lot, and that it's scientifically proved, okay? Another fact about me is that I'm a very enthusiastic about things, about life. And I think a lot of you guys can relate to that. That's why I picked this fact, because I know that a lot of people feel this intensity when it comes to life, this enthusiastic, and I feel like I have, and also I'm a very detail-oriented. I'm a very focused on detail. So if I get into a room, I know the specific details of the room. I know the colors, I know the smells. I can feel, I can hear the sounds, the smells, I can feel the smells. This is a very strong thing in me, so I live a life very intensely. I feel things in an intensive way. The last fact I picked up for today, it's actually a fun fact. Sometimes it seems like I'm serious, but I can be really a fun person. It's one of the things that I really like to bring to class. It's a fun class, laughing and telling jokes sometimes. It's a good way to relax and to have like a good time when you're studying. So this is a really interesting thing about the classes. You can expect a lot of different connections, a lot of different concepts. You can expect jokes from me. You can expect all of those good times when you're having a class with me. My favorite cartoon is Looney Tunes, and I usually tell people in a really funny way, in a joking way, that I am Daffy Duck, because I really relate to that duck. You know, that's my favorite character. And Looney Tunes. And I actually have a page, meDaffyduck, and if you want to follow, there's a lot of memes there. This is a social media for practice your English there, jokes, a lot of memes, and there it's a page where I talked about my differences in a funny way, in a funny manner, using cartoons, using my favorite character, meDaffyduck. So if you want to follow more, if you want to learn with Daffyduck, me and Daffyduck, well, that's it for today. So there you have it, guys. Don't forget to comment your facts. I'm really interested in getting to know your facts. And of course, if you cannot write in English yet, you can just write in Portuguese, and I'll use all of the facts, all of the sentence that you guys leave down below in Portuguese to teach you how to say those things in English in a future class. So that's a really interesting thing. All of the phrases, all of the facts, all of the comments that you guys decided to leave, decided to write, I will use that in a future class. So don't forget to leave your comment down below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. If you want, you can watch this video twice to practice your English. Once with the subtitles, and twice you can watch this video without subtitles to practice your English.